Good evening. I'm Javier Figueroa, and I'm calling this the regular meeting of the University Place City Council for Monday, November the 18th, 2024 to order. And just a quick note, you may visually see someone taping us, and that's from PCTV, who's here to just tape us and be able to share the taping to the public about how our council does business tonight. And so will the city clerk do the roll call, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Boykin?
Here.
Councilmember Worthington?
Present.
Councilmember McCluskey?
I'm here.
Councilmember Fleming?
Here.
Councilmember Grassi?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wood?
Present.
Mayor Figueroa?
Present. And will Councilmember Boykin lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
My pleasure, Mayor. If you join me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And item number 4, approval of the agenda. Calling for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Okay. Public comments at this time. Before we do we have anybody online for public comments?
I don't see anyone online, Mayor.
Okay, and I don't have a list, but I will ask anyone here presently that would like to have a public comment. I don't see anyone walking up to address the council, so I will close the public comments. Item number 5, excuse me. We'll have to turn the page here. If it'll cooperate. There we go. Item number 6, consent agenda. I called for a motion to approve the agenda.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second.
Anyone objection to approving the agenda? None seen. Unanimously passed. And we'll move on to item number 7. It is a public hearing for the 25-26 biennium budget, and we'll have a staff report by our Finance Director, Leslie Blaisdell.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Leslie Blaisdell, Finance Director. Tonight is our third of 3 public hearings for the 25-26 biennial budget. The process has been a lengthy one. The budget was submitted to the clerk on September 29th in accordance with the state RCW. We held 3 study sessions on October 7th, October 21st, and on November 4th. And we've had 2 previous public hearings before tonight on October 21st and November 4th. The budget is a balanced and conservative budget that assumes a continuation of the 2024 service levels to the community. It's a status quo budget with some inflation assumed for expenditures. It includes a 3.8% COLA for staff in 2025, and 4% is estimated for 2026. Our last study session related to capital improvement projects. There were a couple questions that came up during that, and I wanted to address those tonight for you. It's included in the packet. In the Parks CIP, the Market Square spray pad is being removed from the budget. It will remain on the CIP list as an unfunded project while staff reevaluates it to determine what the project is and what other funding sources could be used. There was some question about Parks impact fees, and the Market Square resurfacing will be fully funded by REIT rather than split between REIT and Parks impact fees. In municipal facilities, there were questions related to the expansion, Public Works expansion, and the addition of additional men's restroom facilities. We did check on all that, and it does fall within the requirements of OSHA. There are showers in each bathroom, so what we're proposing to do follows all guidelines that need to be followed. So we continue to provide the best service we can, meeting all of our contractual, legal, and debt obligations, and maintaining our strategic reserve at 15% of the operating budget. Council consideration of the budget is scheduled for December 2nd, but tonight is just an opportunity for any citizens to provide any feedback to council and comment on the proposed budget. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Before we turn it to a open public hearing, for the privilege of those that are listening and so forth, is there any clarification council has to help the public with this? Any clarification questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to open public hearing and invite the public online or present to comment. So is there anybody online?
I don't see anyone online, Mayor.
Okay. Anyone here present that would like to come up and for comment? I don't see anyone coming forward. With that, I close the public hearing. And at this time, I'd like to call for a motion to move the 2025-2026 biennium budget adoption to December the 2nd, 2024.
Mayor, I would like to move to continue the adoption of the 2025-2026 biennial budget to the December 2nd, 2024 council meeting.
Second.
Any objections? Seeing none, unanimously approved. And we'll move on. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Mayor, come right here.
Oh, excuse
I
me.
just have a comment, if I may.
Okay.
Brief.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the splash pad out front off our budget for further consideration and detailed explanation of, and to wisely use our park impact fees. This council is feverishly protected of the park impact fees because we have a lot of CIP in our projects. And we like to prioritize that and also create more bang for our buck when we do have special projects like that coming forward. It's not too often we get to redo the splash pad here in our Market Square, and so we would like the opportunity to further enhance that if we could, either monetarily or otherwise. So I'm excited to hear what the staff report will be when it comes back to council on that. So thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move forward to item number 8, but I would like to ask the council members to bring their mic forward when they speak so that the recording can be clear for the public later on, as well as the council members and other folks that can hear you, please. With that, item number 8, a public hearing 2025 property tax levy, and the staff report again is Finance Director Leslie Blaisdell.
Good evening. Per the state statute, the city is authorized to increase its property tax annually up to the lesser of the implicit price deflator, IPD, or 1%. The IPD is more than 1%, which means all local governments in Washington may increase their property taxes by the levy limit for 2025. The property tax levy increase is commensurate with the 2025-26 biennial budget estimates, and these numbers are included in the proposed budget. To implement the increase, it is necessary to adopt an ordinance imposing the increase in the regular property tax levy. The statutory limit results in an increase of $107,073. This amount consists of maximum allowed increase allowed under the RCW of 1% and includes any new construction and improvements and any administrative refunds. So we've discussed this. We had a study session on it prior to this meeting, and so tonight is public hearing to give the public an opportunity to comment, and then council consideration. That concludes my report.
Thank you. As always, point of clarifications from our council members. You do have time for debate and comments later on. So anyone here for clarification points? Seeing none, we'll move on to public hearing comments. And so anyone online?
I don't see anyone online, Mayor.
Anyone here present from the public that would like to come up and comment? Seeing none coming forward, I'd like to go ahead and call for a motion to consider.
Mayor, I move to pass an ordinance requesting the Pierce County Assessor to levy property taxes for 2025.
Second.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to comments, debate, anything you would like to say before we go for a vote. Anyone? Okay. I do have a comment, and that is, just that we say this many times, but sometimes there are new people that have come to listen to us. But all the property tax that we collect, it 100% goes toward public safety. Just want to make sure that we repeat that and remind our citizens where that money's going to. And it's never enough for public safety, as we all have seen, and the public has seen, that the public passed that public safety levy, because we couldn't collect enough property tax to keep our public safe. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and call for a vote. Would you please do a roll call, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Boykin,
Yes.
Councilmember Worthington,
Aye.
Councilmember McCluskey,
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming,
Aye.
Councilmember Grassi,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Wood,
Aye.
Mayor Figueroa.
Aye.
Mayor vote results 7-0 for the ayes.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 9, which is the city manager and council comments and reports. We'll start with City Manager Steve Sugg.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. In a few weeks, on Friday, December 6th, it will be the city-sponsored University Place tree lighting. This is an annual event. It's one of the traditions in this city. At 4:30, the doors will open to the atrium. At 5 o'clock, Santa arrives in the atrium for pictures by the fireside, by the fireplace downstairs. And then at 6 o'clock, the tree lighting countdown will take place. And I think all the council knows about the tree lighting countdown. And that will, and the council members will be asked to join the mayor on stage and proceed with the countdown, and the tree will be lighted. There's going to be a band, the Stacey Jones Band will be here to both welcome Santa, and I won't give all the secrets away, but it's going to be a fun event, and we look forward to seeing everyone there, and we'll have a great event, and you'll see more about this from our community events director, Marion Holloway, will provide you with even further details, but I just wanted to give you a few highlights. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. And we'll move on to council comments and reports, and we'll start to my right, Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I just wanted to say thank you to staff for putting on a wonderful Veterans Day celebration ceremony. It was well done, and despite the weather, it was excellent. And Mayor Pro Tem, your words were just so poignant and heartfelt and so meaningful. So thank you for your service. Thank you for leading that. That was most excellent. It was wonderful to be in attendance. Also want to make note of Thanksgiving at the Thanksgiving dinner at Curtis Junior High on Thanksgiving Day at 11 a.m., sponsored by UP Refuse and others. If you need a place to go for Thanksgiving, anyone in our community, please come and have Thanksgiving dinner with us at 11 a.m., Curtis Junior High. Absolutely complimentary, and so many folks work hard to put that together for our community. So I will be there, and look forward to greeting anyone that wants to come from our community. I want to say another happy birthday to Ruth in our community. I got to celebrate her 100th birthday at Community Connection Place last week, and it's just wonderful to honor everyone in our community, and what a milestone she has seen in 100 years, and to have her a part of our community and vibrant, and it was just so special. So happy birthday. Thank you to all of the good folks that make Community Connection Place so special. And then also their senior Thanksgiving dinner is happening this Friday at noon, so So if you are a senior and would like to go and participate, that is a wonderful opportunity to have a Thanksgiving lunch. And I know that he will be talking about it more later in his comments, but also got to attend the SSMP event with Mayor Pro Tem, and that was a wonderful time to be with our military community, hearing about how we can be an effective partner for those in our community. So thank you so much. That's all I have, Mayor.
Councilmember Fleming?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be short tonight. It's great to be back, and I have nothing to offer tonight for comments.
Welcome back. And Councilmember Worthington?
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. One is it was a pleasure being at the Veterans Memorial last week. I'm so pleased the community, our veterans groups have worked to establish that memorial in our community here, and it's great to participate with that. It was a well-done event. I appreciate it also, like Councilmember Grassi, Mayor Pro Tem Wood's words, along with the other speakers there from the 16th Cab and the chaplain. But very fitting and well done, and appreciate our city staff's work to help polish that as well. I wanted to mention that I, along with the mayor and several other council members, who I think will probably talk about this too, attended the National League of Cities conference that was held, its annual conference in Tampa. Got back, I think it was about midnight when I finally settled down, so to speak, here at home. It was a very worthwhile conference. Tampa had a lot to offer in terms of showing us the different effects of a well-developed downtown, but also a great job hosting. More importantly, the event itself had a number of sessions. I particularly enjoyed hearing about AI. Artificial intelligence was a big portion of this, and this conference. In the course of that, we received a toolkit for AI development. Certainly, there's a lot of work there. We saw that on the floor of the. There's a exhibitors floor, like most conventions, and there's probably 200 or so exhibitors there that you can go around and see what's happening, if that's about police cars or if that's about stoplights, or a lot of software and AI discussion as well. So did some of that, and then also received some information on housing and dealing with people that have challenging situations in their housing, and then also how to evaluate a community's needs. And so we have a toolkit similarly that I can make available for our city and staff on that too. But it was also a great time with my colleagues, and I don't want to underrate that by any means. That was perhaps, that was just nice to be able to work in a little different environment, and also talk to folks from around the country that are doing work similar to ours. Each city's unique, each one's just a little different, but it's fun to hear with our challenges and to hear about how for the solutions they've come up with. And so enjoyed that opportunity, and I was pleased to be able to be part of it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Wood?
Thank you, Mayor. So I was also, obviously, at Veterans Day, it's my honor to represent the city there and speak on behalf of us. I would like to take a moment just to thank PAC 148 Cub Scouts for being there, 16th Cab, who provided another speaker, and also the chaplain, Washington Guard, First Corps Band, and Clan Gordon Pipe Band, who provided music, and of course all the veterans and supporters who were in attendance. It was a wonderful ceremony. And then finally, thank city staff for setting everything up, putting it all together. Very much appreciate the work of the city staff on that. Then I also was at the South Sound Military and Communities Partnership. I have to remember exactly what SSMCP stands for. And there was some really good information put out. We had a distinguished list of speakers. I will not name them all, but it did include Congresswoman Strickland, Colonel Lamb, First Corps Chief of Staff, and Bruce Danmeyer, Pierce County Executive, among many others. And it was interesting, some of the things they talked about, and I'll just cover very quickly a few highlights. First, they finally did a study on the economic impact of the military in Washington State. This is not just Joint Base Lewis McChord, but also the naval bases. And they calculated a $30.9 billion economic impact annually. Includes supporting 254,904 jobs, which represents 5% of state employment. So having those numbers to work with really helps influence how we can work with the state and federal government about what the military does for our community. They did bring up some key issues that they're looking at, and there's a whole bunch. A lot of them didn't pertain to the city of UP, but I'll touch on the ones that did. Key, though, is that they're looking at quality of life for the military and the soldiers and spouses, to include finding ways to get spouses to have jobs, because when you move every 2 to 3 years, it's often very difficult to find employment. And so they've been working on things like cross-certification, where if you're a nurse in one state, you can bring your certification to this state and start work. And they've actually made pretty good progress on that. But now they're looking at other avenues of, working with employers to say, hey, there's value in hiring military spouses, and going down other roads to try and bring that up. Then the other issue that is a big, huge, well, two more other issues. One is child care. Child care is an issue for everybody, but it's especially challenging for the military. There's not enough child development centers on post to support all of the soldiers, and since 70% of the people on JBLM live off post, including many in our own community, they're looking for child care off post. And so we need to be looking as a city, as a state, and as a federal government, things we can do to help support child care. And then finally, related to all this is housing and housing prices. The housing prices, obviously, in this community, as everybody's aware, are very, very high. And with 70% of our military living off post, that provides a real challenge for our service members to find a place to live that's anywhere close to the installation. A lot of them have to commute all the way from Lacey, Olympia area, or further north in Auburn, and just trying to find places where they can actually afford housing. And it's a challenge. And so this community, which is again a joint military and civilian leadership community, is trying to find ways to work with the military to help resolve some of those issues. And I think that really covers the high points. There's a lot of discussion about transportation issues, not many of which actually affect us, so I won't go into that. But thank you. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Councilmember McGlusky.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I, too, went to the National League of Cities conference in Tampa Bay, and whenever I go to a big city, I always like to figure out how it evolved, what was the beginnings, and how it massaged itself to where it got to what we see it today, how it transformed itself, what it took, funding sources, culture, diversity, inclusion, all those things meshing and coming together so I could fully understand and appreciate Tampa Bay for where it's at, where it's been, and where it's going in the future. So I look for those mobile tours to do that. So I jumped on a few of them, and others I missed because the bus was too full. But I did a workaround, and I went out and I did it myself. And then I did research on the back door for the historic streetcar. That is a streetcar that they've used for a few decades, and they continue to use as a transit corridor to move people from one end of Tampa to the other. So when the streetcar gets to the end of the road, they actually push the seats so that it's facing the other direction, and then the streetcar moves. It works on the same principle that it had done from the turn of the century. And so it was cool to ride that up and down the corridor, and I got to a lot of civic center interests and things. And also the History Museum, of course, I had to go to, because if you're going to figure out what that area is and how it was economically viable to become a significant port, as well as a cruise ship terminal, you needed to find out where it began and who's living there and what they were doing currently. So the History Museum was not only about the past, but it was also about the present going into the future as well, which was unusual, which I liked. And of course the Art Museum, what is significant in that community to display art. And so, of course, diversity, some of the ethnic diversity that's out there, and some of the bias and prejudices that they had to withstand as they became Tampa Bay. The Riverwalk, much like our short little Soundview Walk, was 2.4 miles if you did from one end to the other, and it's a major has different plazas for events. One of them was Sparkman Wharf, and Tampa Bay beat the tree lighting for University Place. They already have their tree lit. It was lit during the weekend that we were there. It was a major event, and it did include a few fireworks at the end of the pier as well. Something to think about going forward, right? And also visited the water district for their upgrades to purify the water going forward and some of the innovative ways that they're doing, which they acquired from Denmark. So they'll have the first pilot project in the United States to not do ionization, but do what they have, these acrylic pellets that they're going to filter the water through and provide chlorine in it. And there's some chemical reaction that attracts the soluble pieces to that and creates purified water at the end of the day. And it was also interesting to walk along some of these corridors and read signs, beware of the alligator. So I had to watch my toes in more ways than one with the fire ants as well. And I went to a cemetery tour, state-owned cemeteries, and the history and how the city has now owned them and what they're going to do with them in the future as passive park sites, as well as historic markers to their history of, not so nice history, but others, they can celebrate some joyous moments in their past history. I also attended before I went to the conference, I went to the Zoo Truck Authority meeting to do the final adoption on their budget for 2025-2026. We only vote on the sales tax portion of the budget. The rest of the budget is for Metro Parks to vote on. In the budget is an 8.5% increase. There'll be a 3% increase in 2025, a 3.9% increase in 2026. The sales tax represents about 40% of their budget. They hired a new FTE in 2024 to do a conservation program for the zoo and also for TRAC. So it's under the umbrella of Care and Protection Plan. And in 2025-2026, there will be no new FTEs that will be hired. The attendance to date in 2024 is 634,628, and they're hoping that will uptick to over 700,000, maybe. I think that's a long stretch at the end of the year, and especially with zoo lights. 50% of the population that goes to the zoo is from outside of the county, which is interesting. They have increase in goods and services of 6%, insurance almost in double digits. The utility from TPU is to increase 6% in 2025, as we all know. That's happening here as well. The overall budget is $70,822,470,000, and make sure you go to Zoo Lights. They have new experiences at that event, and it will open the day after Thanksgiving. And I'll conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mayor. I also was very appreciative of having the opportunity to attend NLC, the National League of Cities. But I do want to say I was really taken aback about not being able to join in a couple of events, obviously, that were local. They go without stating, but I do want to underscore the significance of the South Sound Community Military Partnership project. That has been a long time coming. That impact has been pretty significant. It's usually only JBLM that talks about really what that economic engine does, that impact in community. It's usually somewhere around 13 billion, if my memory serves me correctly, to recognize that when we take a holistic approach and now we can really identify 30 billion. It helps people understand really what an economic engine is and what it does, what the JBLM community in particular and residents in the neighboring area can do. And so all those things are just extremely important. So I just wanted to say those issues that had been identified, they are real. They continue to be extremely important. I think we are better positioned to solve them now, but that's part and parcel of some of the things that the council is also beginning to concentrate on, particularly as it impacts housing and housing opportunities in our area. Regarding NLC, what was really, really cool for me, and I like saying it that way, is you got an opportunity to really connect and learn about other electeds, not only what makes them go and what inspires them, but also the challenges that they see and share very openly and candidly in dialogue. And you know, when you think about the opportunity to talk about similar situations, all of a sudden you find out that accelerates trust. And if you can get trust in your dialogue, you really do come away with savings and solutions and real ways forward. You also get a chance to have people genuinely lean into what they may believe can help them. They're very clear and candid about that. And it gave me a perspective about really how University Place, the city of University Place, in my view, and the council, what it's able to demonstrate by how we have been achieving and really dialed into one to create a quality journey and a quality impact for our residents and citizens. And it wasn't lost on me that unintentionally looking to compare ourselves with other electeds, that I found a really warm, comfortable position when I thought about, again, it's a great opportunity, privilege to be in leadership in council in the city of University Place. I had a ball when I could connect with Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Worthington, Councilmember McCluskey. All the things that they talked about passionately, or the mayor will talk about, I'm sure, passionately, all those things were that much more important because we got to experience them not as just council members, but as, in my view, friends. And that was, again, with me, really, really cool. When I talked about what it is that we're going to be able to learn first and foremost, Councilmember Worthington talked about artificial intelligence, or AI, being really centered, but how it was looked at in so many different ways. For example, one of the biggest things for me is the future of work, what that meant for our community, what it could mean for ways in which we would be expected to help provide ways forward, and to really help provide some specificity about what it would mean when it comes to AI in our space. Those things I thought were extremely important, and how you step through that to help everybody come along. If you want to go far, you do that together. And so a lot of different ways, techniques, impacts, I really felt was really important to talk about, and I was glad it was happening there in the conference. The last thing I wanted to make sure that I underscored is that there is a responsibility and an expectation that we have to be out in front of the artificial intelligence impact and how it can become really integrated into how we'll be able to lead and share and show as council members. I'm really embracing that change. You talked about different ways in which it not just elevates opportunities for impact and really superb experience when it comes to our residents and how it is that they feel like they're served, but it also ways in which it just really promote different kinds of efficiency. So excited about all that, but most importantly, just really appreciate the opportunity to have attended NLC with this council, with these council members in particular, and just looking forward to the next one. That 100-year shout out, Council Member Grassi, her name again is?
Ruth Challender.
Ruth. I want to let you know, Ruth, happy birthday, fantastic. What was happening simultaneously is NLC was celebrating its 100th year in its organization. So it was a big celebration. I was warmly thinking about if I could be able to reflect on 100 years, they did a great job to make me feel how much achievement had happened. But if you could be along the journey along the way. So in that regard, Ruth, I hope it really felt fantastic for you to experience your 100th as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That concludes my report.
Very nice. Thank you. Over 4,000 people attended the NLC. Imagine 4,000 elected officials coming together. What that gave me as a perspective in an attendee was the diversity of people across America leading towns and cities. It's one of the few times, whether it be this large one because of the 100th celebration or others, is that what I saw, you think about city officials and public officials and who they are, and every time I turned around in this mass shade of folks from all over the country, I said, it just looks like everybody else in town. Seriously, it's just like everybody else in town. There's no different how they talked or act. It was just normal people that had concerns about how, of course, different opinions and different approaches, but certainly they were engaged in how to change the town or make it better. And that's really the bottom line. AI has been mentioned several times, and I did mention something, Council, to our city manager, Steve Sugg, that was a hot item, and that we should be, I brought lots of materials so that we can pass it on to the staff and Steve and Mr. Sugg so that they would gather information, and hopefully this year we can go into some study sessions. But as always, they need to gather information, put it together where it would make sense and how it can be applied in our city so that we can do a study session. But I think it's appropriate. One thing that that I came out on, I know the other council members, is that it's here. And either it's going to impact us whether we are ready or not. And like Councilmember Boykin is, we have to get ahead of it. We really do. So I think that council is the ones that need to prepare the city and get it going from a standpoint of city operations. The other key thing that I got out of it was. I attended several sessions, and on different subjects, will be housing or AI or infrastructure, grants, things like that. And I have to say that as we all, as individuals, are looking for validation, are we doing a great job? Are we doing an okay job? Am I being good or bad? What is it that, we always looking for some kind of validation from someone. Like us, up here, we're looking for validation from our citizens. And so I have to say that I got a lot of validation that we are doing really well as a council. Our staff is doing really well as staff, and our community is doing really well paying attention to what's going on in our city through our commissioners and other volunteer groups that are engaged. Because as I was talking to folks, and as I was listening to them and hearing them in the different sessions, there was a lot of validation that I received, that I heard, that we are really at the top tier of doing the right things. And so that was really positive for me to see and hear from not just small towns, medium-sized towns like us, and larger cities. So I think it's very valuable that we attend these. Sometimes people call it as junk flights, whatever it is called, but really it takes a lot of effort and time, our personal time away, but most importantly, it takes a lot of energy and an effort to capture information, to listen, and bring it back to where we can actually utilize it and make our community better and ourselves as leaders better. So I'm really glad that more than just one or two go. I know that many of our the folks that I went, they asked, well, are you by yourselves? I said, no, I have 3 other council members. I said, what? And they said, well, that's really good, because it would be nice if everybody in our council or some of us could go, because, or more could go, because at least they would get on the same page. So many leaders are not on the same page because they don't get the same information and they don't attend some of this leadership conferences that really make a difference. So I'm glad we were able to do that as a city, and that council members had the time. And of course, it's going to pay off, and it has over the years. That's why we are where we are now, with many policy decisions that really has enhanced this city, our community, because we have attended leadership conferences and forums that allows us to think better and clearer. So, thank you. We'll move on to item number 10. And it's the City Commission's 2025 preliminary work plan. And we'll start with the Public Safety Advisory Commission. And the staff will be Jennifer Hills, and Public Safety Director, and our Public Safety Director, Jennifer Hills, and Emily Calhoun, our Public Safety Advisory Council Commission Chair. So, who would like to go first?
Did you say we're going to study session?
Oh, I didn't mention we're going into a study session. So we're going into a study session now. So who would like to go first? Thank you. Okay, I'll pick. Just kidding.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Emily Calhoun, and I chair the Public Safety Advisory Commission. And I, as a mother of 3, take this commission charter. I value it very deeply, so I wanted to start off by just saying thank you for letting us share with you tonight. Before we dive into the 2025 work plan, I wanted to briefly just recap some of what we did in 2024. In addition to our monthly report outs with West Pierce Fire and UPPD, during which we review crime trends, emergency response data, inclement weather impact, as well as other ongoing things in the community. We also did many events this year. We participated or volunteered in things like Duck Days. We conducted many Coffee with a Cop or Cupcake with a Cop events. We did the Fentanyl Town Talk, the Holiday Green Furs event, and things to educate and engage the public, such as Safe Sitter training or the Fire Youth Academy. Additionally, in response to ongoing community concerns regarding traffic safety, we assisted with the execution of a flash vote survey to gather the public's pain points and priorities to better understand how we can assist in directing us towards some solutions for some of those problems. One of the most exciting projects we had this year was a collaboration with the Parks Advisory Commission, during which we came together to identify areas of potential improvement. We specifically focused very heavily on Kobayashi, but we talked about all of our parks to identify ways that we can make the outdoor spaces and public play areas that we're so lucky to have here in UP just better environments for everyone. Is that everything from the recap? Okay. Moving into the 2025 plan? Okay. Oh, great, thank you. One of our primary goals is to stay educated on current public safety challenges so that we can knowledge share with our micro communities that we respectively as commission members can go back and share with our communities, as well as serve as a sounding board for them. So some of the big things that we want to stay up to date on are sex offender management. As we all know, the placement program has been a contentious issue throughout the community this year, and so we are dedicated to staying on top of any modifications to that program and anything that we need to know. The next one we wanted to just dive a little into is fireworks. As we all know, it's a heated debate. There are strong opinions on all sides of it. So we talked about potentially putting out another flash vote survey to get a better idea of where the public sentiment is. Lastly, we're following a few cases that are working their way through the system. Currently, for example, you would know better than I would, Grants Pass v. Johnson and Potter versus City of Lacey, to better understand if and how those rulings will impact us in University Place and have an idea of how UP can respond if and when response is necessary to homelessness here. The next item is traffic and pedestrian safety, everywhere within UP, of course, but with a heavy emphasis on school zones. As I mentioned, we're working with Chief Burke on reviewing monthly data, and part of that is traffic safety data. So we take that into consideration when we're having these discussions. The next thing we want to focus on, because of how successful we felt like our Parks Advisory Commission collaboration was, we'd love to collaborate with another commission going into this year. I'm happy to meet with them and address anything that they find public safety impacts what they're doing. And the last item on our work plan is more community engagement. We'd like to work with council to identify areas where it would make sense to conduct another focus group for citizens. I think the last one we did was in advance of bringing forth the levy the second time, and we found it to be so successful. So we think that's just a way that we can harness public sentiment and put it to good use.
Are you done? Okay, excuse me. So I guess they're looking for any comments or questions or clarification. So Councilmember McCluskey.
Okay, thank you. Well, all these are very good. I'm really happy to see the sex offender management will be in your radar, so that doesn't get to that point of a boiling pot, that we can hit it at the crossroads beforehand, and maybe engage our legislative body at the state as well, like they did at the back end to help out with the education and the data-driven reasons behind it. Fireworks, yes. I like the idea of another survey to see where the pulse of our city is currently, because initially it was like 50-50, and I have a feeling that has changed. Also, the homelessness response, make sure we're appropriately handling it at our police level and our legal level with our reactions. I like that. Of course, the school liaison officer, I've said enough about how I support that, and the traffic officer. That will augment our overall safety in our community by tenfold, I believe. I am fully like that. Hopefully you'll get feedback. There'll be a feedback loop driven on both of those positions for the traffic enforcements, and how that outcome is to help calm traffic in our city, because that's been problematic in the past. And I'm Kobayashi, yes, and the safety in our parks are essential so that our citizens feel safe to use the parks. I'm glad that's at the forefront as well, in cross collaboration with other commissions. Go for it. That will just make your commission spark even more, and you'll have other ideas to engage and hopefully come back to the council with in a more comprehensive look with all the different commissions. So look at their agendas and see what you could pop in on and collaborate. That's one council member's opinion anyway. The public engagement, absolutely do whatever you can to keep your engaged with the public, to help public come meet officers so that they can meet them in a friendly environment. And so when something happens and something goes amiss, they'll feel more trust and also be able to assist our officers in taking care of whatever emergency situation that is occurring. So I think this is a pretty full agenda for 2025, and I look forward to hearing all the feedback and how all this is going and what you need the council as a whole to help you support to accomplish all of these great endeavors that you're embarking on. Thank you.
Oh, excuse me, Councilmember Worthington.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, and by the way, thank you very much for your work on putting together the work plan. And I think that's has a great list. And you've had it's nice to highlight your accomplishments over the years, or particularly this past year. I appreciated hearing about all the public outreach you've been doing as well. And then you have a couple of other commission members here too. And appreciate having their involvement with this too. Couple of things I wanted to touch on. One was on the work plan, I think, for example, the sex offender management piece, very much in line with Councilmember McCluskey's comments. And that's something we want to have attention on, but we at council may not necessarily have quite enough bandwidth to deal with that level. And so that's something you could help us with, certainly. You mentioned about the fireworks discussion, and that's an ongoing thing in a variety of pieces of the community. I wanted to point out that I believe it was 2017 when we had a community-wide vote. That vote was 63% yes, ban fireworks. And so we have a history of strong support there, but sometimes it doesn't really translate into full action. And so there is indeed a variety of feelings about the issue, though, in the community. We hear we have a lot of resource that takes. So having some feedback such as flash vote in a more contemporary way than 7 years ago would be helpful. And then the other items you have laid out as well are very helpful for us too. So look forward to next year's report and any other things you have to offer. I guess one other thing I wanted to mention, and I'll probably bring this up for our parks folks too. By all means, take a look at the council goals that we have coming up for 25 and 26. And if you have some thoughts on how to support, how to implement, how to make those goals happen, I know I would be interested, and I believe the rest of the council would be interested in things that fit within the scope of your commission as well. But thank you. Good effort, and looks like a good direction to me.
Councilmember Wood, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for everything you and the other commission members are doing. Really appreciate it. Again, really like the idea of you looking into the sex offender management piece, keeping an eye on what they're doing at the state level. I know some stuff was proposed last legislative session. I think a lot of it died. But if there's anything that is either continuing, and especially if there's a way that the council here can influence through calling our legislators or doing whatever else, or the community can, it'd be very good to know that in the window of when they're doing it. Traffic safety, of course. And actually, if you want to tie that to the desire to potentially do another focus group, just a thought, the good idea, Ferry speaking to me right now, is I remember when going out and talking to the community, everybody could identify the place near them that was an unsafe traffic spot, whether it's a stop sign that people routinely ran or a street that people routinely were speeding down. Ask them where the danger points are in their areas, and they will tell you, and then you can feed that to our law enforcement as we bring on our new officers, and I'm sure they would be happy to have that information as they start making their own work plans. And then finally, you have a lot of good stuff here, and I really appreciate it. And actually, I would like, if we can get it into the schedule, Mayor, or something else, to hear from you earlier in the year than just next November or December, of anywhere you have a progress, that's something that you think would be of value for the council to report. So thank you.
Before we move on to Councilmember Grassi, Mayor Pro Tem, is that it is planned to have as we did this year, a luncheon with the commissioners and council to get updates and just have a chat about what's going on. So
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
And so with that, Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much for being here this evening, and the commission. I just really want to thank you for the effort and all the time and hard work and thought that you all put into it. Like you said, a mother of 3, and all of you have families and other commitments. So it's not taken lightly that you put in hard effort and for such an important piece of our community. So thank you so much. I think this work plan looks excellent. I don't want to take time echoing the other words that were mentioned. The sex offender management, of course, is a highlight and priority. So thank you for taking that seriously. I'm also interested in another flash vote for the fireworks, and interested what the questions might be, how we might tailor that to get a little bit more of a nuanced answer from families and people. I know that people, like you said, feel very strongly one way or the other. But like everything I see here, also love the idea of collaborating with other commissions. I think that the more the better. I'm really excited about the possibility of a collaboration with you and economic development, our business owners and our business community, because I feel like they really feel like they have another eyes on the scene when it comes to public safety and all of the things that help them, enhance them, attract new businesses, keep our current businesses safe. So I'd really be interested in hearing from them and all of you what comes out of that. But I think we only get better with collaboration, and thank you so much for doing that. As far as public education and community engagement, I think everything here is great. I think it's going to be really imperative that we take time to introduce our new officers that are coming on as we continue to celebrate such a great public safety win and getting them out into the community. So how you do that, I'm looking forward to, and also what you all do. I know I've been beating this drum for a little bit, but I think it's really important to highlight what our commissioners, who you are, what you do, how you become a part of a commission, what that responsibility looks like. It's such a wonderful place for people to start that are engaged in our community, that care deeply, and can also be great, assets to all of you too as you're doing other events. So I really would just want to, and I know I've spoken it here too, but another way to highlight all of what you do and what it's about. So many people don't know. So thank you so much for this work. I also echo Mayor Pro Tem's sentiments about getting update quicker, more earlier than the end of next year. So thank you so much to all of you for being here.
Okay, before I move on to Councilmember Fleming, just as a reminder, the luncheon with the commissioners will be around May or June, so it'll be halfway through the year, which will be appropriate besides the end of the year. But you did say something, Councilmember Grassi, and that is, how do we highlight the commissioners that hopefully they're all present. This last time they were all present. It was like really fantastic. But how do we highlight them? And so, Mr. Sugg, if you can, or staff, is that I know it doesn't get videotaped, but any way that we can show it so the public can see in action what the commissioners are doing and who they are. I think that's a good way to really just have the public see our commissioners at work. Okay, thank you. Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Emily, thank you for being here tonight and for your presentation. And really, I want to also echo thanks to the commission, all the commissioners, for the work that they do on behalf of the city. I was highly impressed with what you all accomplished for 2024, and certainly am looking forward to the 2025 work plan from the standpoint that it really exemplifies that your commission has a finger on the pulse of what are those touch points or the priorities of the city. So I don't want to rehash every item line by line on here, but I think you and your fellow commissioners have done a super job in really highlighting those things that are pertinent to our community and making it better and making it safer. So just wanted to say kudos. The question I have for you is this. Number one is, what resources do you need from the council to accomplish? This is a lofty goal when you look at all these things on here. And I was thinking, gosh, are there enough days in the year for you to accomplish all these things successfully? And the second part of that is, do you believe you can actually get through all these? Because these are all really key topics, so which will probably take a lot of time to really vet out. So I'm just interested to hear.
Yeah, thanks for calling that out. I think it's important to note that none of them have a concrete timeline to end. As they're ongoing, and the things that we're dealing with are constantly changing. I think the one that we hope to reach some sort of an agreement to a path forward is something regarding traffic safety. And we still have a lot of data parsing to do with Chief Burke, and especially once those new officers get onboarded, start working with them. But we hope that is feasible for next year.
Great. Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you. Very impressive. I really appreciate how you laid these out, and as lofty as it's been suggested that they are. I'm already expecting it to be not only accomplished and achieved, but something I can begin to brag on again about one more wonderful commission, inside of City University Place. I would also underscore that I'm a big proponent of focus groups. So as you continue to find different ways to both incorporate the information that you're learning, as well as looking at different ways to talk about how it can be teased out into our community. Can't get that often enough. It's another way in which I believe you've got empirical data, even though it's anecdotal in its engagement. I see it as empirical because of who it is that's invested in the focus work. So just wanted to underscore that. I think the last thing I think is most important to note, there had been a couple of comments about the frequency in which information could come to us as council members, not just because it's impressive, but because I believe we really want to be part of the whole impact and the solution and journeys going forward. So I would propose that there's also a council that's willing to meet you more than halfway. And there is, as been mentioned by Mayor, the expectation of the luncheon as an opportunity to have an earlier report out. But there is a full appreciation for commission work. A significant way in which I think that it can be underscored is how we demonstrate our engagement and cadence with you. The council perhaps being part and parcel to going out to commissions meetings on a regular basis, maybe on a quarterly basis, where we get the chance to see each of the commissions where it's parsed out between council members, so that we're not only encouraging what it is that we want to see and hearing it in a different way, but also being able to bring that back and be able to talk amongst ourselves about what we believe and see as commission work to be not just vital, but really impacting community. And then underscoring that in ways by even highlighting those commissioners that are driving that work, and just importantly giving them a chance to be that much more transparent when it comes to our public comments that's available with each and every meeting. So those are ways in which I see us being able to really underscore the value of the commission work, which we believe to be not just vital, but really, really positively changing our community for the better. So thank you again for what you do, not just you, not just your commission, but all commissions. Just excited about all of that, and again, this impact on the City of University Place. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Lastly here is just a couple of comments, and that is that, you talk about flash votes and focus groups. Because economic development is a huge deal, and keeping our businesses and understanding our businesses, and especially with crime and safety. As we all know, retail, they lose a lot of revenue. It'd be interesting to see if we could do just a focus group just for businesses, and see, and help us understand their safety needs, specifically addressing retail, and what does that look like, what does that mean, and especially have a reports out on any of your accomplishments as they are achieved, and have it reported out. I wouldn't want to wait until the end of the year or even mid-year. If something happens, let's have to happen news. So that's my comments. And so I think any other comments from either one of you?
That's all I had. Thank you so much for hearing us.
Well, thank you both for being here, and thank you for the commissioners who are here. Thank you for coming. Okay, so we'll move on to...
Mayor, before you let Emily sit down, we are... after your park commission work plan, you have the Kobayashi findings that the commissions work together. Just so I don't make her come up again, we're going to have Amy come up and they can go over that first, and then we'll move right into the work plan for parks, if that's
Well, that sounds
okay.
reasonable, so
Okay,
let's
very
do
good.
that. So you're going to just, Emily, you're going to be there, and Jennifer, are you staying there too? Because we're going to need another chair.
Amy's going to come up.
Okay.
No, it's good. I'll sit right here.
Okay, so, so Amy,
Do we need the,
so let me introduce the next session here. This is the Parks Advisory Commission. It's staffed by Tony West, Operations Manager, and Amy Wolf, our Parks Advisory Commission Chair. And where is Mr. West? Would you please come up here, please? Unless you're not part of the... I understand that, but if you can come up, grab a chair. And then let's go ahead with what you were proceeding about Kobayashi Park, and we'll continue.
Hello, my name. Do I have to push the buttons there? Can you hear me now?
No. Just
One more time.
One more time.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Yes.
Sorry. My name's Amy Wolf.
No, you turned it off again.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, sorry. My name's Amy Wolf. I'm the
If you can move the
chair.
mic towards you, please. A little bit more. Seriously, we got to be able to
there?
hear you clearly.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
My name's Amy Wolf. I'm the chair of PAC. So during 2024, we met with the Safety Commission, and we discussed safety ideas for Kobayashi Park. And I'm assuming the City Council, we put a memo together, so this was emailed to the City Council on October 2024. So we talked about brainstorming ideas with Chief Burke, coming up with ideas that would make the park safer for the community. And some of our recommendations were to establish a park steward program. So that would be where maybe people could go down and kind of walk around the park and make sure, things are okay, or just kind of keep eyes in the area on the park. Also enhancing signage throughout the park, so having maybe a parking sign down at Kobayashi that is designated for police parking, so that way people kind of feel like there's, police could be there at any time. And also another idea was to increase police, bike, and foot patrols. This would be if there is extra funding available, so that is not something that would have to happen right away. And also, we talked about once the splash pad, if a splash pad happens at Cirque Park, that would possibly divert, how many people visit Kobayashi to cool off. So if we had another place for people to cool off, they could go to, if Cirque had a splash pad, and also Creekside Park, we could enhance the parking there because there's a little parking area there in the creek, so people could go there to cool off. So those are some of the things we talked about for increasing safety at Kobayashi, and I think the main ones were adding signage and the steward program. Is there anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, so some of the things about the Park Steward program that we discussed are, I think Metro Parks might do something similar, but many cities do, and it's a very formal kind of city-sanctioned program so that people who frequent parks would eventually recognize, oh, that's a park steward, I know what that is. Advertise on social media who they are, what they do. It would be a volunteer position. It's a volunteer coalition of people who just care about keeping the park safe, and maybe they have a hat or a vest, something that identifies them as such, but just so that when people are using the parks, just an added layer of a sense of
security.
I was looking at Amy. Let me know when you're done with just that portion.
I'm done with
Okay.
this portion for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mr. West, did you have any comments to either one of those reports before we move on?
No additional comments.
Okay. So, council, just on that one portion, if you have any comments, clarification, is this a good time? So, Councilmember Fleming?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief. I love the idea. I really do. So if there's a way for us to figure out how to bring that to fruition, it would be awesome. So I know that we're right in the middle of our budget for the year, so I don't know what you said is volunteer, but when you think of volunteer, then you start thinking about, well, how much are the vests, how much are the hats, how much is this, how much is that. So it'd be interesting to know what the actual budget cost is for a program like that, but I really like that. Thank you.
Councilmember Grassi?
Yeah, I would just echo Councilmember Fleming's statements. I love the idea, and I think that it'd be a great way for people, again, to be engaged, and I think it would be something that could really enhance our park. So, great idea. I'm in favor of it.
Hey, Councilmember McCluskey?
Okay, thank you. Initially, I'm excited about the Park Steward program, but then on the other side, I'm thinking, what about the legal aspect of it? You know, how are we going to train them? How are we going to make them accountable so they don't think that they're now policing our parks, that they're not just doing a customer service component? You know, maybe they're out cleaning up our parks in a safe manner to where, you know, it's applicable for volunteers to do, maybe not only at Kobayashi, but other parks, and also to encourage appropriate behavior, especially in Kobayashi when it's, you know, it's debatable whether it's a park or preserve. We're preserving salmon, and they're in the summertime, the salmon habitat is being deteriorated to a large extent that it impacts the whole intent of why we're preserving Chambers Bay area, even though it's going to be a public use, but we do need to protect the environment, and we need to conserve it for future generations as well, because it is such a gorgeous piece of property that people can get peace all the way off, you know, away from the congestion of the city. You know, it's that, you know, diamond in our city that we need to protect, along with Pierce County and the city of Lakewood. So I like the idea, but I wanted to move in a cautious manner towards it so that it's appropriately implemented. I've seen this, and it worked great, and I also seen it, and it didn't work so good, because they take another hat and they go off in a different, more dangerous direction. And so I do want, when a person engages with a park steward, it's a friendly manner. You know, they're observing, maybe taking the data, but also helping demonstrate how to protect and preserve, and to do appropriate uses and behavior in our parks as well, as to also maybe, you know, educate the people that do come down and enjoy our parks that may not be aware of certain history of it or aspects of our parks, and how to best use it for, you know, their full pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to add, Mayor, I'm sorry. When the commission was reviewing these items, they didn't go too far deep into any one of them. If it's the will of the council, we could do some more investigating on the park steward and bring it back to council a little more fully baked. Some of our commissioners did do some work looking into the Metro Tacoma program, and that way you would be more, you know, versed in what something in University Place might look like. We have an opportunity to visit on the legal, you know, implications, and make sure that it's something that you're interested in.
And before I move on, just in that comment, is that, as we all know, whatever they think would be appropriate, the recommendations are brought forth to us for us to really take a look, comment, and do any further action if necessary. Okay, it's just they don't act on anything without coming back to us. Council Member Worthington.
Thank you, Mayor. Like the other colleagues, interested and intrigued by it. I think it offers some good possibilities. There are some details certainly to be gathered, and there is experience out there that we can learn those things from. If it's Metro Parks, or I think there's park hosts that are used by Jefferson County at Fort Casey. There's a variety of different places that you can go to look at some folks and how they do that, and get some lessons learned. But the concept is good. I think we might also consider whether it's a single person or two people, but a few details like that. Nonetheless, I'd say at this particular juncture, and it doesn't appear that it has any particularly significant budget aspect that we need to consider while we're just about to adopt the budget. And so I think our capital costs are pretty minimal in a number of vests. And some paint striping for police parking. But unless I'm missing something, that all sounds quite intriguing, and I think worth some extra consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too want to say that initiative is good. Innovation is better. I think that's what we've got going here. I also would caution as we consider moving, as those details would be important, I think it makes absolutely great sense about what Councilmember McCluskey offered up. But as Ms. Hales has alluded to, we would get more detail, good, bad, and different. Our Kobayashi Park has a history, and we certainly want to be mindful about what it is that we will be standing up in any capacity based upon, at a minimum, that history, as well as the expectation of being successful with any new program. But again, love the idea, love the thoughtfulness of the initiative, love how community is looking for a way forward, and I think it's right here, part of innovation. Again, innovation is good.
Councilmember Wood, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Just really quick, add my voice to the others. I like the idea of the Park Steward program. And judging by the number of people we have show up for, say, a park cleanup day, there's a lot of passion in the community for our parks. And I think if it's well organized, well run, we'll have no shortage of people who will be interested. And we could look at, and as you go into your diving into the weeds on this, look at whether it'd be better to work with individuals or whether you would like to work with organizations, because there's a lot of community organizations that may be willing to support one park or many parks or something like that as well. But no, thank you. Great idea.
My last comments will be, again, it's been mentioned, liability, the cost for doing any of it. As you bring a recommendation, those are the things that we probably should have come before us. And again, how would they report? When would they report? The uniform, badge, all that kind of stuff, which you all know. And so I should just be, I'm actually just excited to maybe get the report or the recommendations and see where that goes. I think that is it's not new. There's precedent for these kind of things. So our version may have to look different for whatever reason. So look forward to the recommendations. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to the parks part.
Thank you.
Who would like to start?
All right, so I'm just going to go over our 2024 work plan briefly. Some of the items we went over for 2024 was looking at park maintenance staffing, which we did get some new staff for parks, so that was awesome that we were able to do that, because it's been a long time since we had enough staff. And we also, one of our main projects we worked on was the CERC master plan with the consultant, ARC, and we worked with them doing the flash surveys and looking at the different ideas, concepts, plans that they came up with, and giving guidance and advice on helping to form the ideas for the Cirque Park master plan, so we can get a better feel for what the city would, maybe do someday there. So that was one of our main projects we worked on. And then we also worked with the Safety Advisory Commission on Kobayashi, coming up with those, brainstorming with Chief Burke, the ideas for better safety at Kobayashi Park. And it sounds like we will probably want to investigate more about doing the park steward program. And we also worked on figuring out kind of what to do for sports and recreation program in UP in terms of maybe like a hybrid system, maybe with Fircrest or Lakewood, since we have good fields at Cirque, so maybe there's some sort of, people can sign up for a sports program. They could use the fields at UP, and then maybe we can do something at Fircrest. So those are just things we kind of talked about. Probably will continue talking about that for 2025 also. And also kind of for the current parks, kind of looked at what's happening with each park, especially with Homestead Park. I'm excited to do the groundbreaking for that, and then so it looks like possibly construction will start next year. So that's an exciting development. Our 2025 work plan, we're going to be assisting the staff selecting a consultant for the Creekside Park master plan. So we're excited about that to get started on Creekside. I don't know if anyone has been to Creekside Park. It's over kind of, you have to go into Tacoma to get over to it. It's a huge, massive area, so it would be a great park space. So we're looking forward to helping to pick the consultant for that. We will also be assisting with the Paradise Pond parking lot and entry design. So there's going to be new parking there. And then also for 2025, once we kind of figure out safety ideas for Kobayashi, then we'll probably work a little more on figuring out what direction we're going to go for that. Let's see, number 5 on here, evaluate the landscape staffing model. I think that's more about the park maintenance staff to kind of see how that's working, see if how the staff is working out for that. And then also we're continue to investigate ideas for hybrid sports and rec program in UP. I think that is most everything. So 2025, yeah, I have a couple big park projects that we're excited to work on. Don't think I have anything else. Does anybody have any questions?
Councilmember Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Amy, one thing I didn't hear you mention was the park facilities rental system. I see that on your work plan, but do you have any comments to add in terms of what you're looking at?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand what that is. Oh, rental system? I don't know what that is.
There was no clear end goal or date timeline for that one, but one of the eventual goals would be to have some sort of online park rental system, so the public could see a calendar of when spaces and fields are rented, and also help out staff time, answering phones and coordinating all that. I think it would just make everything a little bit more streamlined for everybody involved, staff and the public.
So I know last year council had talked briefly about this particular issue. Apparently we were having some issues with people being able to use some of the facilities down at Cirque. I thought that was being actively worked, but what you're telling me right now that it has not been.
Councilmember. So staff has been
Before you do that, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, Jack Eklund, Public Works Director. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So staff has been actively working on this. We're doing comparable, doing an analysis of what all the other, what our neighboring jurisdictions are doing. And so that's a element of work that we've been doing. This is something that the Park Commission has kind of on a parallel track also identified a desire to explore that and to look at streamlining the process, because although we do have a ability to rent both our fields and also our picnic shelters, we do receive comments that there could be a more streamlined way to do that. And so they have been working a little bit at parallel track, but when the Park Commission recommended that they looked at, to me that felt like a good way to kind of blend those two efforts together and then get input from the Park Commission and also then ultimately have the report back, both the staff and the Park Commission back to council.
Okay, so sometime in 2025, the council can expect to hear some sort of recommendation on that?
Yep.
Okay.
For sure.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My comments were almost identical to Councilmember Fleming's, and I think got answered. I want, for a point of clarification, Jack, I thought we were getting an update on the park facility rentals sooner, maybe in Q1 of 2025 that we were talking about, because I know that we had this on I thought that was the last timeline that council was given direction on. Are we saying we're pushing that back?
So the update of what our report to council for what we're finding on the analysis of what the neighbors, where our neighboring jurisdictions are doing, what all of that is still scheduled for the first quarter of 25. Okay. The element that the Park Commission is looking at is kind of the next step and evolution of that, is then once we have that data, what ways can we then have recommendations to change what our current process is? So it's a little bit related, overlapping kind of tasks. That makes sense.
I just hope we're not doubling up efforts of our commissioner's time and everyone's time, because again, I'm just speaking for myself, but for me, I see that as a high priority to also make these other desires and these other pieces of the work plan function really smoothly, and get us to a better spot before we get to peak park season. Say that 2 times fast. Peak park season. So, thank you. Thank you, Jack. Thank you so much for your work. We all love all of your work, and thank you so much for serving. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Before we go to the next round, Mr. Eklund, you might wish us to either, you know that.
Yep.
Thank God you have a chair. It's more comfortable, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So with that, let's go to Councilmember Worthington.
Thank you, Mayor. So a couple of things. First off, let me just start by saying I certainly echo Councilmember Fleming's comments about the interest in getting a park resource reservation system, choose your choice of terms. And there's a variety of things. And I'm glad to hear the Commission's interest in that too. So just a recognition of that would be a great step forward. I think it somewhere was in our discussions in our previous goal-setting processes, as you recall as well, Councilmember Fleming. So getting some action in that direction would be helpful. And certainly we're all interested in expanding the recreation opportunities, particularly for our youth. And so I think there is absolutely a role for the Commission in that process. It's a question of how we parcel or how that gets parceled out in terms of what scope that has. There's a role for council. Clearly the staff has a significant role. It's a big project, and as it moves forward and hits different phase marks, it'll need everyone's involvement and attention. So lots of coordinating to do on that, but look forward for first quarter progress and reports on that and how that's going to move forward. It's also kind of a reminder to me, and I mentioned this in public safety when we did that a few minutes ago, but Amy, you and your team, I wanted to encourage you also, as I did with the Public Safety Commission, to take a look at the council's goals for 25 and 26 and just see if there's some opportunities for you to link up the commission's efforts in relationship to those goals. And it's always great to have the full team on board and working towards that. And in fact, several of the things you mentioned fit very nicely in that. I just want to make sure they're intentional and we are working on those things appropriately. So great. All in all, thank you. Good job, and thank you for your continued work along with the other commissioners. You've made some good progress. We look forward to some more. 25 should be a big year for us. Appreciate it.
Mayor Pro Tem Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. So a couple of comments. I won't say what they said again, but I agree with what they've gone so far. And actually, Councilmember Worthington said what I was going to say about sports and recreation better than I could have, so I'll leave that alone. One thing I'd like to add is Creekside Master Plan. I love that park, and you're absolutely right. It's really hard to get to. I am really looking forward to what you guys come up with that. And one of the things I would ask, I'm assuming it's already part of your thought process when selecting the contractor and doing it, but access to the park, preferably without having to loop all the way around into Tacoma and back in. If there's a way we can add that, extend that one street, do something like that, I would love to see something as part of that to make it just more accessible to the UP citizens while you do it. And lastly, I'd just like to say thank you. I know parks is a subject that people in this community are very passionate about. And and I appreciate you being willing to take this kind of work on. So thank you.
Thanks.
Councilmember McCluskey.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And thank you and your commission and Mr. West for all of your hard work, and Mr. Eklund as well, to support our beautiful parks and keeping them accessible to all of our public for active and passive uses. Much appreciated. I use most of our parks regularly. As I'm going over your work plan, and you indicated about the Market Square splash pad possibly being added to that, so I don't know where in the discussion mix that can be to add it on to your 2025 work plan, or if that's even appropriate at this point. But we may keep that on the back burner and plop that on, because I would like that discussion sooner than later. And the other one is echoing some of my council members' comments about the park facility rental system. I thought we were going to implement it, sooner than this, and that it was going to be more in-house, that we could do some low-level, low-tech registration for that in the front end. So that was my best recollection from the cobwebs of my mind. And I also am not averse to going forward, even if we do the low level first, but we go and look at the more integrated systems throughout the 2025 work plan. I was also, because of one of my legislative proposals with Councilmember Fleming about the park maintenance and park staffing, as well as our public works, that it's always good to keep particular with our park commissioners, because I'm assuming our park commissioners love our parks and they go out and they visit our parks probably more regularly than I do, and they'll note some things that we may want to improve upon, or also that we may want to look at some of the repairs, especially in regards to safety.
Right.
I'm also encouraged about the Creekside Master Plan, because once we touch an open park that we had on our list that has not been developed, that triggers development, grant opportunities, and also what I love to use our park impact fees for this kind of things, to develop our CIPs in our underserved and undeveloped parks. And continue the park safety discussion, not only with Kobayashi, but throughout all of our other parks, as you mentioned in the discussions before. So I'm excited to hear feedback and reports from this, and looks like you have a full work plan ahead of you, as well as collaboration with other commissions as well. So thank you.
Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mayor. Just 4 quick points, please. I would also echo the sentiment of what's been expressed by our fellow council members, but I would also prioritize the park facility rental system, how it's been explained here. I would see that as a A1 priority. I think everything else that we're talking about best being feathered out begins with that being a foundational piece and a springboard to a next level of opportunity for recreation, as it's been envisioned in the city of University Place. I would also echo encouraging the alignment of what could possibly happen from commission work by looking at what the council anticipates for its next iteration of council goals. There's an opportunity for there to be work that could be perceived as inextricably linked, but just as importantly, and this is the reason my number 4 point for saying that is, I believe that council has just as much of an aspiration and intentionality in engaging you in this work, much like your work plan, those council goals that we aspire and place in front of community is an expectation for us to have a North Star. I think that invites us to be able to come into commission work and commission space, again, very intentionally. I alluded to very quickly, it'd be once a quarter. Council is actually spread out and maybe 2 persons going to each meeting in the quarter. We cover all commissions. It gives us a way not only to lean into what it is that we're reminding folks about the goals that we've set, but also get new opportunities and ignite new energy as to how your work plans can be that much more complementary as we have a dialogue that happens. If we are doing that once a quarter, it gives us information that we also can internalize quicker, talk about what we want to do that much more robustly, but just importantly, we're giving you the same energy, same opportunity, and same engagement. So in looking at those council goals, it just helps you be able to be that much more responsive if we can get that underway as part of engage in commission interplay. But I just like the possibility of what we could do better together, and expecting how, if we want to do it well and do it long term, we make it a point to be intentionally doing that together. So thanks for sharing that aspect. Appreciate it, Amy. Thank you.
Okay, so my comments is a few, but just wanted to touch on some of the comments. Is we have to be cautious as this is a report on the commissioner's plans, and if we have some thoughts about how we as council members shall engage with the commissioners, I think that's a study session that belongs between the council members and how we engage, assign each other, if any. I'm not sure we're all on board. I know I'm not with how what was mentioned about engaging with the commissions. I think that needs to be structured and thought through, and that should be discussed within the council members in a study session. I don't think it belongs here. The other thing is I think we have to be timelessness. A lot of this actions requires for them to finish their work. It's unknown when they can finish. So quarterly, like you mentioned, was mentioned, is I just want to be cautious how what it sounds like a direction. I don't remember what the process is for direction. I don't think that a single or two saying one thing is a direction. So I think we need to have more discussion on that. What is direction that we want for any one of these plans? Because I really feel that quarterly reports on something they may not be able to deal with and say nothing and say, well, you said to report. I think that maybe the staff can do reporting as to the what's been done when appropriate. As far as the CERT Park site study, you have it lined up as, if I read this correctly, August. And so I just want to see the timeline and how that really works and what you mentioned here. I thought that we already had started this study, so.
Good point.
So what that was for is basically, now they're going to come back to council. I think we have that already preliminary, because that's planned in early 25 to give the report out of what the efforts from 24 were, what happened to that. The item here they're talking about on 4 is to, as a park commission, they want to start looking at potential, are there funding opportunities, or what are the next steps for that study? And that's why it's later in the year, so that's actually a follow-up task, and that also gives time to have whatever direction from council would be back at the end of the report. So that's why, and it is a little confusing there, I apologize.
Can you reword it for future reference so we, okay? The other one,
I didn't say that correctly. It's going to be the, identifying sources for
okay,
potential
whatever
funding.
you decide is fine.
Yeah.
The other one would be on the rental facility. All I can say is really take a close look at AI programs, software. AI can do this really easy and responsive community needs for any space. And the third one would be, I heard about the council goals, and I do agree with the lining up the commission plans work to any commission plans and work to council goals. I think that, and I'm talking to staff now and Mr. Sugg, and that is, I think that it would be a very good idea to look at and line up what commission plan items or accomplishing council goals, so we can see what's being lined up and see what the commission is doing to address our council goals. I think having that literally laid out, not just for one, but all of them, would really be nice. And then lastly is on the Creekside Park plan, I would assume, and it's a question, that there will be focus groups and surveys as part of the plan, right? Okay, so and that was only it. So I see a hand to my left, Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make sure that I have been clear about just giving comments about thoughts of engagement. I want you to know that it is important to me as a council member to be sure that I share with you how I'm hearing you, and I want to be confident that I'm not just meeting you where you are, but certainly doing all I can to encourage ways to give your work plan lift. I don't mean to speak for anyone other than me. The expectation isn't putting anything on any council member, but I want you to hear innovation and hear initiative and how it might look when it comes to engaging you based upon what it is that I've seen you put together here, and really valuing commission work. And so that's just my particular position. There is an opportunity for anyone to come alongside it, but when we have opportunities to share these ideas to the public, I want to be really clear about what those things mean to me, how I'm pierced by it, and really appreciative about what that means when you put together good work for us to consider. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great.
Okay, and Mayor Pro Tem Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. No, I was just thinking it may be appropriate, and I would just raise this with my fellow council members, is that if we can get one of us to speak to each of the commissions, and I volunteer to do at least some of them, about council goals and what we've talked about as a group, and then, give them an opportunity to ask questions and just get some feedback at one of their meetings coming up in the first quarter of 25. So, thank you.
And of course, any council member has the privilege to address the commissioners about our goals and things like that. I suggest, though, to work with the appropriate staff person assigned to that commission prior to that about timing and information that can be handed out prior to that. So, okay, anybody else? Very nice. Any comments from your side, Commissioner?
just a comment about the Cirque Park Master Plan. When I was talking about the splash pad, it's just an idea. It's not set in stone. It's, you know, this is all master plan. But if someday there was a splash pad there, that would take pressure off Kobayashi potentially. You know, if there were, because there's so many people visit there in the summer. But yeah, I think more engagement, like the luncheon, I think was good. So if you wanted more engagement with the commission, we have November, and then, yeah, if we did lunch in May, I think that's another good way to get the council members in touch with the commissions. So I think that was good. But I look forward to working on the 2025 work plan and keep you guys in touch with everything we do. Thanks.
Excellent reports. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, so they're not having no other business to discuss. The meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.